This is crazy, I'm on the right track, I'm finally found. You need some soul searching, the time is now. All I need is one mic.
Leanna, this is got the letter that you left at my house. Do not drop by my house unannounced again. Okay? I just want you to understand that. Do not drop by my house unannounced again. If you have to reach me, you can grow up and email me, or I tried to call you and you weren't available. But leaving letters at my house is unacceptable. That's an unacceptable form of communication. And I'm going to contact my attorney. Bye.
So you guys heard the voicemail that my brother left for me after I went to his house and just simply put something in his mailbox. As you guys can imagine, my mind was blown. I think of all the emails and all this stuff and the meeting and everything that I had been through in the last year. That upset me the most. I just don't understand it. I put something in your mailbox. Like, that is not an abnormal thing for family to do, and not so out of the realm of things I've done in the past. Did I make mistakes? Yeah. Was I perfect? No. I messed up, I did things wrong, you know, but did I deserve that? I don't think so. I don't think there was anything I did to my brother that I deserved to be treated like I'm this crazy lunatic. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And to this day, I don't understand it. And I don't know that I'll ever understand it. Like, that shit hurt. I couldn't believe that my brother sat there in front of 3 attorneys and admitted that he had me blocked on his cell phone and had no intentions on unblocking me, and that they were all okay with it. I think they were maybe a little bit like amazed. It's like, dude, what is the reason? You could hear my brother's attorney kind of like, is there like some kind of number you could give her to call you? Because it's unbelievable that a sister cannot call a brother up. Now, mind you, they've seen, and I know my attorney has, he's seen brothers and sisters battling before over estates. I mean, this is like nothing new to them. They deal with it all the time. My attorney actually told me more often than not, this is how things go, and they're, you know, people are fighting. But I don't know if they ever saw anything to this level of psychoticness that I can't even make a phone call to my brother. It just made no sense to me. He's like, send me an email and I'll call you back. Or call my house phone and leave a message. I don't have my phone with me 24 hours. I just want to tell you guys something about my brother. My brother, like, before even cell phones were a thing, he had this Palm Pilot. You guys remember those things? It was like a little thing, had games on it and all this shit. He stared at that thing like 24/7. My brother's face is always in some type of screen, whether it's his computer, his PlayStation, or his phone. And now you're gonna tell me, as if I don't know you, as if we never met, that you don't have your phone on you 24 hours a day. Let me just explain something here. When the iPhone first came out, I had like this crappy Samsung phone, and my brother was like, you gotta get the iPhone. Like, he is so into technology and gadgets and shit. He was like mad at me because I didn't have an iPhone. Me and my mom didn't have iPhones. We had Sprint, and I think the iPhone, the first model, was only on AT&T. And my brother was like, you know, you gotta switch. Like, he was like angry with us because we didn't want iPhones. My brother's life revolves around technology and computers and all this shit. And to tell me that you don't have your phone on you 24/7, who do you think you're talking to? Come on. He's so into gadgets that he wanted everybody to have all the gadgets, and not only have all the gadgets, but have every accessory for the gadgets. Every time the new version of the iPhone comes out, my brother's one of those people that pre-orders it and like waits online for 4 hours to get the iPhone. And now you're gonna sit there and pretend like you don't have your phone on you 24 hours a day. And he's sitting there telling me this while he's wearing an Apple Watch. Dude, seriously? I mean, that's your excuse? Like, again, that is my brother as a liar. He's not a good liar. Come on, Steven. But anyway, I couldn't believe that the attorneys were just like okay with the fact that he had me blocked on his phone. Nobody fought for me on that one. I just don't understand it. So a few things I didn't explain in the last video. I feel like I'm all over the place right now. and I'm kind of going out of order because I'm trying to just tell one part and then another part and then another part. It got very chaotic. I was trying to go through my mom's house, and I don't know if you could tell in the videos, but my mom had a lot of shit. And you're talking 36 years worth of stuff. You know, even though she lived in a small 3-bedroom ranch, there was a lot of stuff to go through. My brother and his wife just were not allowing that. So I felt very rushed. So what I did was I went and I bought a storage unit, and I would take boxes from my mom's house, bring them to the storage unit, and just put them in there. And that's why I had mentioned the truck that I had got. Well, it was helpful to have that truck because I was able to fit more stuff in there, and then like I had to drive all the way back home, bring everything to the storage unit, and it was a pain in the ass. But I didn't care. I wanted to be able to take my time and go through things. But still, even with that said, you know, I was rushing through this. I had contacted some clean out companies and stuff and talked to people who had worked for clean out companies, and they had told me that even if you have a clean out company, you still have to kind of like box things up. Even if you have an estate sale, they still want you to box things up and kind of organize everything for them. And of course, my brother and Satan didn't do this. So I was over there on a regular basis trying to pack things up. So one day I'm at the house, I had my son with me, and I'm going through things, and I filled up my car, and I'm ready to go back to the storage unit. Side note, Jesse had started pre-K that year, and he had full day pre-K. So I had to drive him in the morning, drop him off at school. I would go stop at the P.O. box, go to my mom's house, go through things, and then go back, pick him up, and then come all the way back to my mom's house with him. And then either my husband would come pick him up on the way home from work, or I would go, you know, drive him back. There was nights that I actually came back to my mom's house and was there until like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning by myself. I should also mention here that like I just wanted to spend as much time as I could at my mom's house, knowing that we had to get rid of it and sell it. I just wanted to soak it all in. I mean, this was it. You know, it was a couple of weeks, and then I knew that pretty soon my mom's house was going to be gone, and I'm never going to be able to come back here again. So I'm at the house, and my son, he was tired and cranky and everything because, again, he's like trying to get adjusted to being away from me all day. My son, when he gets tired, he gets like what I call overtired. He's like, you know, he's like drunk. He's like all over the place. So he was tired. I took his iPad and I put him in the truck. And I start the truck, I put the air conditioner on and everything like that. And he's sitting in there and he's fine. And so I had to run back in the house just to pack up a couple of extra things. He was playing with some blocks, so I just wanted to clean them up and put them away and lock the front door. Okay? So I run back in the house. I pick the blocks up real quick, and my husband calls me, and we're on the phone, and I hear my son screaming in the car, screaming hysterically. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Now, my son, like a lot of kids at 4 years old, they have a tendency to kind of like cry wolf sometimes, and they'll just scream, and it'll really be nothing. So I ignored him for a second. I'm like, let him just scream. You know, that's him. That's what he does. And my husband could hear him while I'm on the phone with him, and he's like, you know, Leanna, you better go out there and go look and see what's going on, right? I go outside, and this kid's face was like beet red. He was in hysterics. I had never seen him cry like this in my life, ever. So I'm trying to calm him down. I'm like, what's the matter? And he's like, oh, he's like, Steven, Steven, Steven. And he's screaming my brother's name. I'm like, what happened? And he's telling me that my brother was at the house. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I don't think so. So I'm like, all right, let me just go lock the door. So I run real quick, lock the door, and my son's still hysterically crying this whole time. I mean, like, uncontrollably hysterically crying, like he can't breathe. And I'm like, what is going on right now? So I lock the door, and I start walking out, and all of a sudden I see this like old kind of Dodge pickup truck pull up to the house, and this guy who's like 6'2" comes walking up the driveway, and I'm like, can I help you? And he's like, yeah, I'm supposed to be meeting Steven here. And I'm like, oh. So my brother was there. My son wasn't lying to me. He actually did come. To this day, I have no idea what happened. I don't know if my brother came, he must have saw that me and my son were there, and so since he can't be around us, he must have left and took off and waited down the block or something. Now, this guy told me that he was from a estate sale company and that he was supposed to meet my brother there, and I asked him for his card and everything, and then I told the guy, I'm like, well, he's not going to come while I'm here, so let me finish up what I'm doing, and I'll get out of your way so that he could come. As I'm talking to this guy, here comes my brother. He pulls up in his little pickup truck, right? My son is still hysterically crying during this whole time, screaming hysterically. This guy was probably like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what is this girl doing to this kid? It was like insane. It was like I was kidnapping him. I swear to God. It was like, I never heard him cry like this in my life. So I'm parked in the driveway. The guy pulls up on one side of the driveway and my brother pulls up on the opposite side of the driveway. This stupid douche gets out of his car, walks all the way around the driveway, and like comes up around like behind me, and my son's hysterical in the car. I know I've said that probably 5 times, but he was hysterical. And he comes and doesn't even look at me, doesn't say hello to me, nothing. And I'm like, what the F was that all about? I cannot believe this. Like, I just can't believe that this is real life right now. He walks right past me like he didn't even see me. Doesn't even look at my son. That part is probably what upset me the most. My son's in the car. I mean, he's screaming. There's no way you could not know that my son is there. My brother is by himself. Satan's not with him. And it's a perfect opportunity to see your nephew. Well, fuck me. You don't have to say hi to me, fine. But the fact that you were able, as a father, to be able to walk past the car, hearing your nephew hysterically screaming, crying, knowing that you're the one who scared him, you're the reason that he's crying, and just walk by like nothing's happening, there's something wrong with you. You know, he walked up to the car window when he first came and he scared the crap out of my son. And I don't know how this doesn't trouble him, because for me, I'm like deeply hurt that I don't know his daughter and that she's not part of my life or my son's life. I just don't understand how he could walk past this kid and see him distressed and just not even give a crap. It boggles my mind. I had always thought that my brother was like in an abusive relationship and that something was wrong with him, but this like really solidified it. Mind was just blown. I just couldn't believe that my brother was doing what he was doing and acting the way he was acting and treating me the way he was treating me and treating my son the way he was treating my son. Like, I just couldn't believe it. It was so mind-blowing. I'm like, wow, he is like, this solidified any kind of thoughts that I had that he was in an abusive relationship. This just solidified it. This guy is just, he's a robot. Like, he's like a cyborg. He's like RoboCop. He's just like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. It's like somebody sucked his soul out of his body and just, I can't even, like, I know I say this in every single video, but it's just so mind-blowing to me that somebody could change so drastically. His wife had probably scared him to like, I'm not talking to my sister because it's either gonna cause a fight or she's going to give me the silent treatment or threaten me in some way. And so he's gotta do what he's gotta do. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, you are a man. I'm sorry, I hate assigning gender roles to people like this, but you are a man. You should be able to turn around and tell your wife, you know what? This is my family. This is my sister. This is my mother's estate. Let me deal with it. In all essence, if my brother just talked to me, everything would have went so much smoother and just would have been so much easier. I got to a point where I was like, this is just impossible. And I'm reading your guys' comments on these videos. I see comments like, I don't know how you did this, Leanna. I don't know how you didn't kill this person. I don't know how you didn't choke them. I don't know either. I really am proud of myself. I really am. I showed so much restraint during this time. I changed. I grew as a person. I learned how to deal with my anger. I learned how to handle difficult situations. And I'm proud of the way I acted. I don't have anything to be ashamed of at all. Was I a smartass sometimes? Was I sarcastic? Did I do petty shit? Yes. But overall, as a whole, I'm very proud of the way I handled myself. 5 years ago, the old Leanna, she wouldn't have been able to handle herself and show so much restraint. How do you know you've grown as a person? When you could totally smack a bitch, but you don't. That's how you know you've grown. So I knew my brother was going to be having these estate sale companies come over and look at the house. And there was one thing in the house that I wanted to make sure my brother knew was mine, and that wasn't part of the estate. And that was my piano. I took piano lessons for the better part of my childhood. I still suck ass, but I took lessons. From like kindergarten to about 8th or 9th grade, on and off. My parents, when I was in 3rd grade, bought like a brand new Wurlitzer piano. It was a beautiful piano, and they bought it for me for my birthday when we had a little money back then, I guess. And that piano was in my mom's living room. So that was my piano. And I know that my brother knows that, but I didn't know if Satan knows. We all know who wears the pants in that family. Because, you know, Satan thinks everything is hers. I mean, she just has no respect for people's property. She ain't down with OPP. After the meeting, I put a note on the piano and I just wrote like something, I don't know, it was something like, you know, this is my piano, it's not part of the estate. I don't remember exactly what my note said, right? The day after I put the note on the piano, I go back to the house and I walk in and all of a sudden I look at the piano and I'm like, oh, that's weird, where'd my note go? So I start looking around, I go open the garbage, there's nothing in the garbage, and I'm like, that's really weird, where'd my note go? So I go back, I'm looking at the piano, and I wanted to take pictures of it because I wanted to try to sell it. Unfortunately, it was another thing I had to part with that I really didn't want to part with. I just don't have anywhere to put a piano. It's not like a guitar that I could just take home. This thing's huge. Where am I putting this thing? I have nowhere to put it. I live in a small house. I don't have room for it. I really didn't want to get rid of it, but I just had no choice. So I wanted to pull it out from the wall to see if it was like a model number or something, to see how much it was worth. I don't know how to price a piano, right? I go to look behind it to see if there's like a serial number, and my note is sitting behind the piano. Dude, this girl is so goddamn spiteful. I mean, I just never met a person like this in my life. She took my note and like ripped it off and threw it behind the piano. Grow the fuck up, dude. How else am I supposed to tell you that my piano is not part of the estate? I'm just letting you know that's mine. I'm sorry if you thought you were gonna get like money for it, but... So I decided to put my note back up and I left another note. You seem rather angry. Please don't remove my note. Love you. Thank you, Liana. Cause #petty. Needless to say, I couldn't sell this thing. Like, it's very hard to sell the piano, so I ended up giving it to a friend. Okay, so that was that. So I knew my brother was meeting with these estate sale companies. So he had met with one company, and apparently, I guess it didn't work out. The first company he met with was the guy that was there that day. That's who he was meeting at the house when he came to the house that day and completely ignored me and my son. I tried to call my brother that night to get some information about this estate sale company because, of course, he's not talking to me. And this is the message I left him. So this really is. This is really.
You have reached mailbox number 631. Leaving a message, you can hang up or press pound for more options.
It's Liana. Just calling because, you know, I never heard back from you, like, yesterday. You said you were going to call in hours, but I didn't hear from you. Just wondering what's going on with those documents. If you want, you can leave them at Mommy's house. I think mailing to me, you know, them to me is a little counterproductive because, I mean, it's like time consuming. We have to wait and wait and wait. And I don't want to wait. I want to get this, you know, expedited quickly. So, that, also, what was that guy yesterday, what'd that guy say? Whatever, what do they do? He said estate sales. That's not what it says online, so I was just wondering what he does. Yeah, that's it. Give me a call back. 631. That's 631. You have a wonderful day. Thanks. But, of course, I never got a call back or any explanation of who that guy was. And so a few days later, I get a text message from Kara. She sends me a picture of Satan up on my mom's front porch talking to two women from an estate sale company. My brother's like not even in the picture. And Satan, your grandma called. She wants her moo-moo back. I don't even know where he is. And she told me, I was sitting there watching them, and she's like, your brother was just like standing there. She's like, Satan was doing all the talking, walking these women around the house and all this crazy shit. And I'm just like, I cannot believe this. What's going on? I have no idea what's going on with these estate sale companies, right? 2 days after that picture was taken, I get an email from my attorney's office, and it's a statement from the estate sale company. Now, this is a different estate sale company than the one that my brother had first met with. And I'm looking at this statement, and I'm going to show you guys. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It doesn't even make any sense. It's basically like an estimate, okay? And so I'm looking at it. First of all, this person's handwriting is absolutely atrocious. But I'm looking at the items that they wrote down, and I'm like, what the hell is, like, oversized chair. They're talking about my mom's living room chair. The chair was like destroyed. You know, my mom had bought them a few years ago, but this one particular chair, I mean, it was in the sun, so the whole like back of it was faded. And I'm just like, her leather sofa is on here. Her leather sofas in her den were so goddamn old. I mean, they're like these green leather sofas from the 90s. How much money are we getting for these things? And then you just see like random things on here. Guitar, China, coffee. I'm like, coffee? I don't know what that means. I can't even read half this stuff. But I go on to the next part over here, and it says deck boxes. And I'm like, are you talking about the dirty Rubbermaid, you know, boxes that are sitting outside that have like all cobwebs and spider webs? I mean, you could buy one of those brand new for like $100 at Walmart. I don't even understand why that's on here. And then it says Adirondack chairs, which I guess Satan took because I never saw those again. Here's one of the things that made me laugh. The canopy. This canopy, if I could find a picture of it, I will. This is this canopy that my mom had for years. And every summer I would go to her house and I would put this canopy together. And this canopy was torn. I mean, it had like a huge rip in it. I had to tape it together every year because like the pieces wouldn't stay together. And I'm just like, how much money are you going to get for this thing with this huge rip in it? My brother and Satan wouldn't know about the rip because they were never at my mom's house during the summer. The wheelbarrow, the bike, the only thing on this whole entire list that's worth any money is this. You see where it says Seaberg 700 loaded with 45s? What they're referring to, and I'm going to show you guys a picture, is my dad had bought a jukebox when we were little kids. This jukebox was the center of our family. I mean, it has so much meaning to me. You know, my dad, when we were younger, he redid my basement. And he made it all nice, and we used to have family parties down there, and my dad used to play the jukebox, and we used to dance, and I have so many good memories from this jukebox because, you know, my family went through a lot of stuff, and some of the best memories I have are from being a kid and, you know, when my dad was happy and before my mom got sick, and this jukebox had a lot of sentimental value to me. Again, I really didn't have room for it to take it, but I started to think about it. So it's on this list and it's valued at $700. And I want you guys to remember this and pay attention to it because it's going to be very relevant in the near future. But anyway, needless to say, again, I was trying to get answers of when this estate sale was happening and I couldn't get any answers. Well, I had told my brother that I'm not going to agree to this anything until I see stuff because, again, they're not showing me anything. They never did. He's sitting there complaining that I didn't send him things. They sent me nothing. They did the taxes, my mom's income taxes. I never saw the paperwork. They just left a check at the house one day and never showed me any type of paperwork for it. Then they go to mail the check and they put the wrong address on it. So anyway, the estate sale. My brother that I wouldn't agree to the estate sale until I talked to somebody from the company. I wanted to know when this estate sale was happening because nowhere in the email from my attorney did it say when it was happening. I had been, over the last week or two since the meeting, leaving my brother messages on his house phone as he instructed me to do. I was not talking to that email account. And so every time I would leave a message, either I would miss his phone call back or he would call back and give me some small time frame to call him back in, or I just wouldn't get a call back at all. And so I instead tried to get in touch with the company that was supposedly going to host the estate sale. I'm trying to call this estate sale company. I'm calling them, right? And then nobody's answering. So one day I decided to take a drive over to this place and I follow Google Maps and there's no company. And I can't get in touch with this estate company. I had left like tons of messages and none of my calls were getting returned. Finally, one day the estate sale company calls me back, okay? And they tell me that we're not doing the estate sale. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like, what happened? My brother never bothered to inform anybody. Did he call my lawyer? Did he tell my attorney? No. I don't know why. I don't know if they were like trying to find some other company to do it or whatever. But no estate sale was happening. So like 2 weeks goes by. I didn't hear from my brother. And I decide to write him an email, okay? Because it was just like, dude, I just want to get this done. I want to know what's going on. They're hounding me about, you know, selling the house and getting it emptied. And what's going on? Why wouldn't you call and say, okay, the estate sale's not happening. What are we going to do? What's the next step, you know? And to boot, my brother missed the 2-week deadline to get the house emptied that he had set at the meeting. And so I was like, what's going on here? Are we doing an estate sale or not? How are we getting this house emptied? They never informed anybody. So I write him an email, okay?